Greetings, friends and rebels, and welcome to the woods. I'd like to talk a little bit today about duality because I've heard a lot of other people um, express very strong opinions about how evil duality is. And I think perhaps they're caught up in the corrupted way that it is expressed right now in our society, where you have the different sides at war and divided from each other, the different sides of the coin. And I want to refer you to the yin yang symbol, where it's a circle and it's split into two parts, the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, and it shows how they come together within that circle to create the symbol of our planet. Because at our heart, at our root, it's about diversity. You can't have free will. You can't have diversity without having duality. I come from a lineage of spiritual rebels. I see things a little bit differently. My teacher, my mentor, also very strong spiritual rebel, which is probably why he wound up with me. And I feel a little bit sorry for him for that, because anyone who is stepping outside of the normal frame of how things are supposed to be is going to be a handful, as I'm sure you understand, because you've got to have a little bit of that in yourself, or you wouldn't be listening to me right now. It has to do with how you relate to your environment. If you're willing to challenge, if you're willing to experiment, if you're willing to open your mind to see that there might be something more than what you've been trained to believe is there, you're a rebel. Back to duality. Now, within my training, my teacher believed that you can't just read about things and you can't just think about things. You have to experience them to truly understand. And so he made all of the things that he was demonstrating, showing me, telling me. He gave me exercises, ways to actually experience it. And that's why when I wanted to share the beauty of the duality of this planet, it's the strength of this planet. Different planets that we know of have different forms of expression. The reason that the Earth is so diverse and has such a potential to create and to make more diversity is because of its ability to nurture duality. And those who say that with the ascension, duality will disappear, I think that they don't understand the meaning of that word. Because if duality truly does disappear, so does our free will. Because anytime you do anything that isn't in complete unity with everyone else around you, you've just created duality. And free will is a good thing. Think about it. Do you really want everything you do to be approved of by your parents and your grandparents and all your peers and all your family and your spouse and your friends, and everything you do and everything you think and all of it be in perfect agreement? We're all in agreement with each other. Would that really make you happy? Isn't it better to have a little bit of chaos along with the order, a little bit of individuality along with the unity? That's what this planet is about. And all of the ascension and all of the genius and all of the becoming actualized is not going to change that. Now, if you don't like it, there are other places to be rather than here that don't have that quality. But as long as you're on this planet, this world, duality will be a thing. I like to learn spiritual lessons in, let's say, a limited, let's say in a small experiential way. So if I want to understand the energy of something, I step into that role. But that's my gift, to shift my frequency and to connect with things so that I understand them better. I'm all about figuring things out and figuring out how things can be used in a practical way. That's how I approach it. Unfortunately, our school system trains us not to do that, not to explore, but simply to accept what we're told, regurgitate it, agree with it, and then follow along the footsteps of all of the people that came before us. But not to take that extra step until we're given permission. Because of that, some spiritual teachers are rejecting the idea of as above, so below. I think they misunderstand what that means. It doesn't mean that you're going to take orders from someone in authority over you. That's not what that's supposed to mean. What that phrase actually means is that ideas and energies originate from Source, the ultimate creator, Source, and filters down into a more solid manifestation here. As above, so below. They start off as vague energies, and as they come down, they take on more character and more reality, more density, until they're here with us. They go from, it goes from this energy, this idea, it's nebulous, and it takes on more form, and it takes on more definition, and it solidifies, and it becomes whole. And here it is, manifested. As above, so below. It's also a reference to astrology, where you're looking at the energies and you're guessing at the different ways that they could manifest. And as they filter down through the different personalities and the different actors who are actively working with those energies, they take on their ultimate form. A phrase from a game that some of you might be familiar with. Okay? As above, so below. Astrologers can look and see the energies, and then they can look around them and see who the players are, and they can make a pretty good guess as to what's going to occur. Although the details, looking at the blueprint, will not always tell you the details. Astrologers have the blueprint, but it takes some intuition and some intelligence to figure out what those details are likely to look like, what the finished house is going to be compared to the blueprint you're presented. That is the true definition of as above, so below. There are other ways to look at it depending on your discipline. A little bit later, we're going to talk about how the healer sees it. Kind of interesting, but for another day. Today, I just want to point out that duality is not bad. Consequently, neither is ego. Ego has taken on this people see it as arrogance. And it can be, but that's not what that word is supposed to mean. If you truly study Freud, the originator of that term, well, more or less the way we use it. If you look at Freud, we have the id, which is our appetites, we have the ego, which is the mind, and we have the oversoul. The superego is, I believe, what he called it, which is the intuition. Three different aspects within one. If you truly get rid of the ego, you get rid of the mind. What happens when you don't have a functional mind? How successful are you going to be relating to other people and to act within the world without a functional mind? We need all three working harmoniously. So, whoever decided that it was a great idea to destroy the ego, which was quite a thing in spiritual circles in my growing up, destroy that ego, get rid of that. And we're still seeing residuals of that today with how ego, you talk about somebody has a real ego, it's an insult. But in truth, it's talking about your intelligence. How smart are you? How good are you at functioning on this level of reality? Ego's not a bad thing. Duality is not a bad thing. As above, so below is not a bad thing. You need to explore these concepts before you cement your opinion about them. I think that's quite enough to get me into trouble for today. And welcome to the woods.